Hey, it's Kley. Welcome to another video. Today we're doing a little laydown review of this pink telecaster. I'm going to kind of take it apart, kind of fix or update some of the things about it that I haven't really loved. I think the guitar sounds really good. I think it also plays really, really well, but visually it's not kind of striking the mark. It's a swamp ash body, which I finished myself DIY with kind of some nitrocellulose lacquer in shell pink. My daughter actually picked the color, and so this was for her. But, it's got this top route here, and it had another control here, which I took out, and I haven't really loved that. So I'm going to fill this hole. Probably going to take the neck off and maybe address, it's got kind of a gloss finish on it, so I'm going to address and change the finish on the back of the neck. But what I'm going to explore first is work on the body. And, the body was finished in nitro lacquer, and you can definitely see that it has done some aging. It's mostly kind of, I'm going to say these little like almost flake spots, or I don't even know how to describe it. This nitro finish certainly has been soft and prone to wearing, but it hasn't really done any of like the checking that you might hope for, or kind of any of the relicking wear. And what I want to kind of focus on is temperature-related checking. So I'm going to kind of do a little experiment with this guitar. I'm going to take it all apart, get it down just to the bare body, and I'm going to subject this thing to some pretty extreme changes in temperature. I'm going to use a heat gun to kind of heat up the finish, warm it up a little bit, and then it's currently like 10 degrees outside. So I'm going to take it outside and then back to the heat gun and back and forth a little bit and kind of see how that changes and affects the finish, and I'll kind of document that. So if you're interested in kind of homemade DIY relicking and nitro finish, kind of messing around with that, seeing if we can get some of that checking to occur here, let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, let's take a look at the guitar as it currently is. I want to document the status of the finish, kind of a before shot here. Now, full disclosure, I finished this guitar myself. I'm really not a professional when it comes to refinishing guitars. I really did the best that I could, but it's definitely not perfect. So I don't want some of the imperfections in my finishing to be representative. So I want to document, this guitar is already worn and the finish itself was not perfect. So I was using Guitar Reed Ranch rattle spray cans, and the quality of that product was excellent. Really, I think the only issues was that the pink, the color that I used underneath, that I used for the base color, I didn't really do a great job of sanding it, probably as much as I should have, or to a high enough degree grit of sandpaper. So you can see some scratching on the pink itself. And then the clear coat, I used 1 can of clear coat, and I probably should have just gotten another one because the clear coat was extremely thin. Now, at the time, I thought that might have been a good thing, but you can see it definitely has worn. It has some wear marks on it, which actually I really do enjoy. But there is some kind of swirling, scratching on the pink base color itself, and that really is a result of my own inability to sand it. But I still think that, for the most part, the finish is kind of a relatively smooth and clear pink color. And so I am thinking that some of the finish checking and cracking that you see on vintage instruments should show up perfectly fine. All right, now let's take a look at some examples of vintage guitars that have had nitrocellulose lacquer that has checked over time. This is kind of what we're going for. Alright guys, I've got the guitar outside here on my driveway. It's currently 26 degrees out, and it's been on here for probably an hour, and just getting nice and cold. And I'm going to take it back inside. We're going to hit it with a heat gun. Can you do this already? Yep. Take your hand and make a little circle just like this. Alright, I also wanted to give the neck some attention. This is just a all-parts neck that I actually bought finished on Reverb.com several years ago. And it had kind of a glossy, who knows what kind of finish on it. So I took some of this really fine grit, wet dry sandpaper, 1000 grit, and I have a little bit of water and soap and squirt it on there, and then just kind of give it a little bit of a polish here with this very light, low grit sandpaper, and that's really just going to help this neck feel really, really smooth. Okay guys, this is what the neck looks like after I did that 1000 grit sanding. The coloration has definitely gotten a little bit more pale, and to the feel, it feels extremely smooth and definitely feels less sticky and glossy. So I would say overall this has been a big success. So 1000 grit wet dry, would recommend. Okay, this is after kind of my first experiment, and you can see there's a kind of a lengthy crack here. There's one here. There's another one here. So kind of my actually they look pretty cool, and this one I can actually feel with my finger. So it definitely is cracking the finish, but kind of leaving it outside in the 20-degree cold for a day. And now I'm bringing it inside, and I'm going to hit it with the heat gun a little bit more, and then maybe leave it outside again, and just kind of keep repeating that process with cold outdoor temperatures. Okay, so I've been using the heat gun just for like a couple of minutes, and I'm not even kidding you. The cracks that were just there, I could see them closing, and now before my eyes they're opening up again. Like this crack right here, when I hit it with the heat, it actually closes. And then even like right now, as I'm looking at it, you can see this one here opening up again. This is crazy. So there certainly is something going on here. I have also observed that some people will use more of a compressed air for even more aggressive and rapid coldness. Like the coldness outside right now is maybe 10 or 15 degrees, but then that compressed air is probably like significantly colder than that. So maybe at some point I'll try that too. But for now, I'm gonna keep working this process, see how it does it. I'm probably gonna leave this outside overnight. Why not? I did go ahead with that process for a bit, but the results were kind of slow. And so this is me using a compressed air can. I got it from Walmart. You hold it upside down, you spray it just like that, and it's the whatever material is inside the compressed air can is really, really cold when it goes upside down. And so you kind of spray it on there, and actually want to leave it on there because that stuff is freezing cold. And you can see right up there at the top, that's where I started. It actually does a really, really effective job of making the finish crack basically in front of your eyes. Now I tried using the heat gun again, and again noticed that the heat gun, kind of almost preparing it for the cold blast, worked really well. And then I blast it. You can see it almost as in front of your very eyes, and hear it crackling. And it does an excellent, excellent job. You can see all these nice nitro cracks all the way throughout. So this worked really, really well. All right, friends, there you have it. That is the result of ice blasting my nitrocellulose lacquer finish. Overall, my subjective impressions are actually that this worked out really, really well. I think the kind of wear patterns and the crackling that occurred on this finish came out great, and I was pretty happy with it. It's relatively subtle, but it's definitely something that you can kind of see and feel, and it just kind of gives the guitar a very weathered look. Overall, I would say the experiment went great. One reflection I have is kind of putting it outdoors in like negative 10 degree weather and then bringing it inside the house to 70 degree weather. That really didn't do much. It wasn't until I did the, it did a little, but the change in the cracking that was producing was very slow paced. It wasn't until I did the compressed air with the really, really sharp contrast between hot and cold that's when it happened. I also would say the hot really wasn't very necessary. I would even say that when I used like the heat gun, that would heal the cracks that the cold had performed. So I probably would just get the can of compressed air, flip it upside down and spray it. I'd probably get 2 cans, maybe 3 cans to do one guitar. And I did most of the work on the top, and then I got a little bit on the back and on the sides, but it wasn't as much there because I kind of ran out of air, and I didn't want to go buy another can. So I would do 2 cans. I would just focus on that. I wouldn't do any of the heating because, like I said, the heating actually ended up healing a lot of the crackling that had occurred. So overall, I think it turned out really well, and I'm happy with the results, and I would recommend it. It's not that hard to do, and I think it produced that nice wear, kind of checked pattern that I think we all love about those old Nitro guitars. So hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you again soon. Thanks. Bye.